SpongeGex here with another Walt Disney Treasures review. In this episode, I'm going to go over the shorts featured on Volumes 1 and 2 for Pluto. Volume 2 also includes 3 shorts starring Figaro the Cat from Pinocchio, which I will also cover in this review. Since a few of these shorts were included in other Walt Disney Treasures DVDs that I've already reviewed, I will not be going over the Chain Gang, On Ice, or Pluto's Judgment Day. I will cover the shorts The Army Mascot and Private Pluto. They were included on Walt Disney on the Front Lines, which I've already reviewed, but I skipped over those 2 cartoons during the review because I figured I would rather cross them over when I start reviewing the Pluto episode. So anyways, let's get started. The first short to review is Pluto's Quintuplets. In this short, Pluto and his mate Fifi have puppies. The 2 parents see a man with sausages walk by, and they race after to get some sausage, but Fifi forces Pluto to stay behind and watch after the puppies. Most of the cartoon has Pluto struggling to keep his pups inside the doghouse as they keep sneaking out and he chases them down. The pups end up falling into a basement and one of the pups messes with a paint hose. Pluto tries saving them but gets blown back by the hose, he gets knocked into paint buckets and ends up getting drunk. All the puppies get covered in paint as well. Fifi gets back and is outraged to see her kids a mess and her mate drunk. The short ends with Fifi furiously sleeping alone in the doghouse while the pups and Pluto sleep in a barrel till Mom calms down. It's nothing special, but the puppies were cute and Pluto getting drunk was kind of funny, and the scene with the spray paint was kind of fun. 5 out of 10. Beach Picnic. This one is actually more of a Donald Duck cartoon, but it was included anyways. Donald sets up a picnic at a beach. Donald talking to an inflatable horse is kind of funny. Similarly to the short On Ice, Donald finds Pluto sleeping and decides to mess with him by using his inflatable horse. Pluto starts attacking the inflatable but keeps getting knocked around by it. I know it's an overused gag in old cartoons, but I always loved the old cartoon gag when a character would fly around like a loose balloon with the silly whooshing sound effects. And back when this was seen as a silly gag, not like nowadays where it turned into a sick deviant art fetish. Meanwhile, some racially insensitive red ants find Donald's picnic and invade it. How did this short not have one of those warning messages regarding outdated content? Donald sets out flypaper, and we get a colored recycling of the classic gag from the short Playful Pluto, where Pluto got stuck to flypaper. This is considered an iconic gag that made Pluto the star that he is today, and it proved how important timing and character expressions are for comedy and animation. Pluto ends up getting stuck to Donald as well, who ends up falling back and getting stuck into even more flypaper. And the short ends with Pluto kissing Donald as Donald quacks in frustration. I honestly enjoyed the short more than Playful Pluto. The former cartoon was mostly good just for the flypaper gag, but the rest of the short really didn't have anything noteworthy about it. Unlike this cartoon where it had Donald Duck's funny shenanigans with the inflatable horse and seeing him get his karma for messing with Pluto in the end was a really good way to literally wrap it up. The part with the ants wasn't that great though, it just served as a purpose to reintroduce the flypaper gag, and there is actually a later Donald Duck cartoon that does recycle the plot of Donald's picnic getting invaded by ants, and that one is arguably a lot funnier. Equally as racist, though, but despite the nitpicks, it's still a funny cartoon co-starring Donald and Pluto. Donald and Pluto didn't get a whole lot of co-starring cartoons, but it's still fun to see how Disney was always experimenting with Pluto in these days. Most shorts portray him as Mickey's dog, while some of them had him as Minnie's dog, or someone else's dog. Some even portrayed him as a stray. This is overall a fun and silly cartoon, 6 out of 10. Bone Trouble. This is honestly my favorite Pluto cartoon. I feel so ashamed that I did not grow up with this one, because my younger self would have loved this one, but then again, I still do. So, the short has Pluto stealing a bone from a bulldog and getting chased through a carnival. A lot of Pluto shorts make Pluto a karma Houdini, where usually he's the one in the wrong, like he causes a conflict, yet the cartoons usually manage to have you root for him, and so it helps that he's just doing what dogs would normally do. It doesn't matter how good of a boy your dog is, if they see a bone, they'll want it and they'll do anything to take it. It's just in their nature. It also helps that the bulldog is a real jerk in the other shorts he reappears in, so yeah. Another reason you root for Pluto. And that being said, this is the first cartoon to debut the Bulldog, but yeah, he's like Pluto's main archenemy. You'll see him a lot in some of the later cartoons. But the main reason I love this short is the part where Pluto hides in a mirror house and has fun with all the weird forms his reflections take, and it brings back childhood memories of how fun and funny it was when I first saw a mirror house in a theme park in Des Moines, Iowa called Adventureland. It's neat how all the reflections make Pluto look like different animals. Pluto uses the mirrors to make himself look monstrous as he scares off the bulldog. Normally, I would bash a story for having a really bad moral. I mean, Pluto steals from another, yet gets rewarded in the end for it. But like I said, it's very in character for a dog to do. It's overall a simple, yet visually fun and hilarious short, 8 out of 10. Pluto's Playmate. While playing with his ball on a beach, Pluto encounters a seal. Pluto angrily chases the seal as the seal plays with Pluto's ball. Pluto angers an octopus who tries drowning Pluto, and the seal saves Pluto. Pluto is thankful and plays with the seal. A simple but cute cartoon, 7 out of 10. Canine Caddy. Mickey and Pluto go golfing. Pluto gets annoyed with an angry gopher. Oh god, I can't tell you how many Disney shorts there are where there's a pesky gopher, and it just makes you wish someone would bash its brains with a mallet. Congratulations, Gopher from Winnie the Pooh. You're the only Disney gopher I don't want dead. Pluto and the gopher end up destroying the golf course in the end. Why was this one on the VHS for the spirit of Mickey again? This is a rather boring and forgettable short, not worthy of being on a VHS about celebrating Mickey Mouse. Just watch Goofy's short How to Golf instead if you want a better golf cartoon. 3 out of 10. Lend a Paw. Oh look, another Pluto short that was on the spirit of Mickey. This one was arguably deserving to be on that VHS, even if it is more about Pluto. This is an award-winning remake of a classic black and white short called Mickey's Pal Pluto. I've already reviewed that short in my review for the black and white Mickey cartoons, but to recap, Pluto brings Mickey a sack he found floating down a river, only for Mickey to find an abandoned kitten. As Mickey takes care of the cat, Pluto's devil makes Pluto jealous of the cat, and Pluto tries framing the cat to get in trouble, but Mickey's pet fish calls Pluto out for trying to frame the cat. That was kind of funny.
Bianca? Who did it?
And Mickey puts Pluto outside for a timeout. The kitten gets out and accidentally falls down a well. Pluto's angel fights off Pluto's devil and tells him to save the kitty. Both the cat and Pluto get saved by Mickey in the end, and Pluto starts getting along with the kitten who is grateful for Pluto's heroic deed. It's a cute and charming story about goodwill towards animals. I find this even better than the original short, although it cut a lot of characters out to simplify the story. The original had many kittens, and Minnie was there with Mickey. The remake reduced it to one kitten and cut Minnie out of the story, but honestly, their absence doesn't change the story much. I overall love the redone animation. The sound quality is a lot better in this one as well compared to the original. 8 out of 10. Pluto Jr. Kinda strange ordering, how he went from an early cartoon of Pluto having 5 puppies to a short where he just has 1. You think it would be the other way around, starting off with 1 puppy only for a sequel to raise the stakes with more pups, but Junior's curiosity leads it into one gag after another, involving chasing a caterpillar, and then upon chasing a bird, and after that, Junior ends up trapped in a sock on a laundry line, and Pluto tries saving his son, and they both safely land into a laundry bucket below. A very simple yet cute short. I actually like this one better than Pluto's quintuplets. 6 out of 10. The Army Mascot, World War II short that was also included on Walt Disney on the Front Lines. Another Karma Houdini short about Pluto, where after Pluto sees how well war mascots get fed, he tries swapping the place of a goat war mascot named Gunther. As Pluto poses as a goat, he hopes to get good feedings, but gets empty cans instead. Gunther is angrily awakened by Pluto kicking his cans, and he chases Pluto. Pluto gets jealous overhearing soldiers praise Gunther for chewing tobacco, and Pluto tries showing off by chewing up a whole bar. Gunther gets jealous and headbutts Pluto, causing Pluto to choke on the tobacco. Gunther tries headbutting Pluto into an explosive storage. Again, a cartoon where Pluto was in the wrong, but you end up rooting for him because of how much worse the person he antagonized turned out to be. Pluto collapses as Gunther runs right past him and straight into the explosives. Gunther gets blown away right onto a U.S. military plane, and Pluto takes over Gunther's spot as the new Army mascot and gets rewarded with a big hand in the end. It has a few funny moments, but it's overall nothing special. It felt a bit like Bone Trouble, but not as funny. 5 out of 10. The Sleepwalker, another one of my favorite Pluto cartoons. This one has got to be one of the most emotional Pluto cartoons, involving a dachshund who tries taking Pluto's bone while he's sleeping, but Pluto angrily wakes up and scares the dachshund away. To the dachshund's confusion, Pluto begins sleepwalking and brings her his bone. However, Pluto wakes up and thinks the dachshund stole his bone again, and he scares her off once again. Once again, Pluto sleepwalks and returns the bone to the dachshund. After he wakes up, thinking once again that the dachshund stole his bone, Pluto angrily destroys the dachshund's home, only to be horrified to realize the dachshund is a mother with starving puppies. It begins to rain, and Pluto realizes he just destroyed their shelter. Pluto feels horrible and gives up his house and bone to the mother and her puppies, and the mother gives Pluto a kiss. This is one cartoon where Pluto isn't a Karma Houdini. I remember the cartoon giving me such a gut punch when I first saw it. It's a very bittersweet cartoon with a very cute ending. 8 out of 10. T-Bone for 2. Oh, Pluto, you never learn. Once again, he tries taking a bone from the bulldog. Pluto tries tricking the bulldog by pretending to dig up a massive bone. Pluto hides the bone in a junkyard, but a horn ends up sucking up the bone. Pluto keeps fighting with the horn to try to get the bone out. The bulldog ends up reclaiming the bone, but Pluto sucks it up with the horn. The bulldog gets stuck in a fence, and Pluto shoves the horn into the dog's face and honks on it until the dog inflates and flies away. This feels very familiar to the Bone Trouble short, but it has enough different gags to still make it feel new. I did get a laugh out of Pluto's big bone trick and the ending. 7 out of 10. Pluto at the zoo. Pluto sneaks into a zoo to try taking a bigger bone from a lion. Pluto can't figure out how to get the bone through the bars, so Pluto tries digging out, but it wakes up the lion. Pluto escapes, but is now in a kangaroo exhibit where a joey took his bone. Pluto gets kicked out into a gorilla exhibit, and I just love how they treat the ape like a big goofy child instead of a typical killer monster like most cartoons would. Pluto ends up in an alligator exhibit, and he ends up back in the lion's cage. He sacrifices the bone by lodging it into the lion's mouth. Pluto flees the zoo and happily settles for the puny bone he had at the beginning. It's a fun and silly cartoon. 7 out of 10. Pluto and the Armadillo. Was this a scrap sequence from Saludos Amigos or something? Because this short would have worked perfectly with that movie. The movie was already only 40 minutes long, so this short had no excuse to not be in it. It would have fit perfectly. It fits with the Latin American theme and would have complemented the shorts featuring Donald and Goofy perfectly. The short takes place in the jungles of Brazil. We have an educational intro introducing the audience to the armadillo. Pluto and Mickey show up as American tourists, and of course, they have a ball that looks exactly like the armadillo's shell. They lose the ball. Pluto tries reclaiming it, only to discover an armadillo. Pluto plays with the armadillo, then eventually angrily chases the armadillo, but he grabs his ball by mistake and pops it and cries, thinking he killed the armadillo. The armadillo reveals itself to comfort Pluto and show that he's alright. Ew, Pluto, don't lick that, that'll give you leprosy. Mickey rushes to get Pluto onto a flight back home and grabs what he thinks is Pluto's ball, but of course it's the armadillo, and Mickey gets surprised to see an armadillo unroll out of the ball on their flight home. It's another cute and silly short. 7 out of 10. Private Pluto, a World War II cartoon that marked the premiere of early versions of Chip and Dale. Pluto is in the army and is ordered to guard a toolbox from saboteurs. Suddenly, a turret pops out and is full of acorns, as Chip and Dale are revealed to be hoarding nuts in it. The chipmunks keep using the cannon to hurt Pluto. As much as I love Chip and Dale, their debut cartoon was horrible. It's nothing but a short of two chipmunks hurting and tormenting a dog throughout, to the point where the short ends with Pluto breaking into tears. Why is it that when Pluto tries stealing something in other cartoons, he's rewarded in the end, but when he's being portrayed as a war hero, he gets the most miserable ending out of any Pluto cartoon? It's amazing Disney took such despicable chipmunks and turned them into some of the funniest anti-heroes in many later Donald Duck cartoons. I at least thought their early design was pretty cute, though. They oddly look exactly the same in this short, and long before it was decided to give Dale a much goofier design. This is probably the worst Pluto cartoon in my opinion, 2 out of 10. Springtime for Pluto. This is one of the strangest Pluto cartoons. Pluto gets awakened by the call of spring. We have a weird narrator throughout the cartoon giving off poetry about spring.
Trees! What is more fragrant among all things than the smell of trees?
We get a really weird scene where a male-looking caterpillar begins making a cocoon on Pluto's tail, while we get a strange song by Thurl Ravenscroft. Suddenly, the boy caterpillar turns into an over-sexualized female butterfly. What is even happening? Pluto starts dancing with a beehive and angers a bunch of bees. Pluto jumps into poison ivy and gets itchy, and all this bad weather just occurs on Pluto, while the narrator keeps reciting poetry on how wonderful springtime is. Pluto gets fed up with spring and angrily chases the satyr who summoned spring to begin with. It's without a doubt the weirdest Pluto short I've ever seen. But I have to admit, the scenery in the short is very pretty. It's very colorful and lush. It reminds me a lot of the gorgeous scenery from films like Song of the South and Alice in Wonderland. I wish there was a better plot to go with such beautiful background art, but this short is just too nonsensical. What was the point of this one? Was it to give a message similar to Every Rose Has Its Thorn, or was it just an excuse because one of the animators got horny and wanted to draw a sexualized humanoid butterfly or something? I don't know. 5 out of 10.
Oh, happy time. Joy never ceases.
First aiders. Minnie Mouse is training in first aid. Minnie asks for a volunteer. Figaro the cat from Pinocchio offers to help, but Pluto pushes him aside to suck up. As Minnie bandages Pluto up and leaves him to get more supplies, Figaro decides to get payback on Pluto. It leads to a funny chase scene. This marks the first cartoon to pair Figaro with both Pluto and Minnie, who appeared together in a few other shorts. After this short, it was eventually decided that Figaro would be the pet cat for Minnie Mouse. Walt Disney loved Figaro the cat and even considered him his favorite character out of all of the Disney cartoons they've produced, so he would accept any excuse to bring back this little cat. Even gave him his own few shorts over time. Overall, it's another silly cartoon, 6 out of 10. Dog Watch. It starts off very similar to Private Pluto, but Pluto is with the Navy instead. A pesky bilge rat sneaks in, and Pluto has to chase it. The rat didn't even have to do anything, and I already knew I was going to hate his guts. Even Private Pluto was a better short than this. Sure, Chip and Dale were violent and ruthless for no reason, but at least they were cute and funny while doing it. This rat is just ugly, gross, unfunny, and boring. The rat starts bribing Pluto with food to leave him alone, but Pluto gives in and starts begging for more. The rat gives Pluto a pepper to mess with him. Pluto gets framed for deserting his post and eating all the men's food, and gets locked in the brig. The rat leaves with a big sandwich and mocks Pluto, only to slip on mustard and fall into the ocean. I don't care if the rat did lose in the end. I somehow found this one more miserable to watch than Private Pluto. 1 out of 10. Canine Casanova. At this point, I guess Disney got sick of Pluto's original girlfriend, Fifi. I mean, she was originally Minnie's dog as well, and by this point, they replaced her with Figaro the cat as her new pet, and gave Pluto a new girlfriend, being a dachshund named Dinah, who only appears in a few other shorts. Her name was never officially revealed, but according to Disney, it's Dinah. So, of course, Pluto falls cartoonishly in love with Dinah and tries desperately to get her attention. Pluto finds a big bone and lures Dinah into a kiss. It's a good thing they're just dogs, or this would be really creepy. After constantly rejecting Pluto, Dinah gets captured by a dog catcher, and Pluto tries saving her as he sneaks into the pound and breaks Dinah out of her cage, and the two work together to sneak out. Dinah kisses Pluto for saving her, and Pluto follows her home, only to be annoyed to find out she has puppies. Well, it starts off as a very cliche Disney love story, but I wasn't expecting it to turn into a jailbreak cartoon, nor was I expecting that twist ending, a fitting way to end Pluto's odd way of handling a crush. 5 out of 10. The Legend of Coyote Rock. I remember seeing this one a long time ago late on Disney Channel, back when the channel was still watchable. In this short, a Western narrator tells the story of a coyote-shaped rock and how it got formed, as it started with Pluto being a sheepdog as a coyote tries sneaking in to eat the lambs. Pluto keeps trying to get a rebellious black lamb to stay in the fence to avoid the coyote, but the coyote lures Pluto away from the ranch, as the coyote races back before Pluto to get to the lambs. As he lures out the sheep with sheep calls, Pluto manages to make it back in time and chases the coyote across the canyons, causing the canyons to topple over. It causes the debris to form into the Coyote Rock. Kind of a strange short. Starts off feeling like a typical Disney historical cartoon, acting like there's a crazy tall tale about why there's a rock shaped like a coyote. It was all from a goofy cartoon about a dog chasing a coyote. It's not bad, but nothing amazing. 5 out of 10. Canine Patrol. Pluto works as a Coast Guard dog, and he stumbles upon a newborn turtle. Wait, is that supposed to be Shelby from the Mickey Mouse Works at Donald Duck shorts? Pluto keeps trying to prevent the turtle from swimming out into the ocean, unaware that it's a turtle and they belong in the ocean. I love the springy sound they use with the turtle's footsteps. Pluto accidentally falls into quicksand and the turtle somehow saves him. A simple yet cute and silly short, 6 out of 10. Pluto's kid brother. Pluto has a kid brother named KB who keeps getting into trouble with other animals like a rooster and a cat, which forces Pluto to have to deal with the punishments. A bulldog uses KB to sneak into a butcher shop to steal some meat, but the bulldog refuses to share, and Pluto jumps in to save his brother. They accidentally kick off a burglar alarm and get chased by a dog catcher. The two brothers get away as the bulldog gets captured. KB tries eating the sausages that the bulldog dropped, but Pluto shames him to leave it. However, Pluto tries sneaking out later that day to eat the sausages, only for the two dogs to catch each other in the act. Another simple yet silly short, 5 out of 10. In Dutch, Dinah's second cartoon, and honestly the cutest cartoon to star Pluto and Dinah. In this short, Pluto is a milk deliverer in a Dutch town. He and Dinah start flirting, but Dinah accidentally trips over a warning bell meant for the dike, or dam for those who don't know what that means. The two dogs get kicked out of town for the false alarm. The two dogs are sad, but are still happy to have each other. However, as the ocean waves get worse, they spring a leak in the dike, and Dinah tries finding a way to plug up the leak, while Pluto tries warning the town. The two dogs get praised as heroes in the end, and are let back into the town. Another simple yet cute love story, 7 out of 10. Squatter's Rights, a rather funny short marking one of the few Chip and Dale cartoons where they're pitted against Pluto and Mickey instead of their usual target, Donald Duck. By this point, they got Chip closer to his final design, but still have Dale looking exactly the same as Chip. In this short, Chip and Dale are settled in Mickey's winter cabin stove, but when Pluto spots them, he spends a majority of the cartoon trying to get rid of the little rodents. The ending gave me a huge, uncomfortable laugh as Pluto's chase causes him to get his nose stuck in a gun, while stuck in an uncomfortable loss of balance, and if Pluto moves, the gun could fire and shoot him right in the face. Pluto manages to get out with the gun barely missing him. Pluto passes out, and the chipmunks mess with Mickey by putting the gun in Pluto's paws and squirting Pluto with ketchup. Such a dark ending, but it had me laughing hard. I love this one. 8 out of 10. The Purloined Pup. Pluto is a police dog sent to rescue a kidnapped pup named Ronnie from Butch the Bulldog. Such a silly premise. A dog kidnapping a dog. After an escape and a chase scene, Pluto captures Butch and hauls him away to the pound. This just felt way too similar to other Mickey and Pluto shorts with nothing fresh to really offer. 4 out of 10. Pluto's housewarming. Pluto starts moving into a new house, only to have his house invaded from a little turtle, the same one from Canine Patrol. Then Butch takes over. God, I hate that ugly dog. The turtle manages to fight off Butch, and Pluto lets the turtle be his roommate. Cute cartoon, but Canine Patrol was better. 5 out of 10. Pantry Pirate, a From the Vault short featuring Rosie, the mammy maid stereotype from the Silly Symphony, The Orphan Kittens. Once again, Rosie is an abusive animal hater and wants Pluto out of the kitchen. Pluto sneaks in to eat ham. Pluto sneaks out unsuccessfully, but at least he didn't get caught. A very uneventful and boring short, 1 out of 10. A Gentleman's Gentleman. Another From the Vault short featuring a very outdated blackface joke. Mickey treats Pluto like a butler and asks him to fetch the paper, but Pluto loses the dime for the paper and starts crying like Chunky Kong. Pluto steals a gumball so he can fish out the dime with his tail. Pluto gets the paper, and in a fourth wall breaking moment, he sees a comic starring himself. Too bad it has an unfunny blackface joke. The wind blows away the paper, and Pluto ends up in the mud and recreates the offensive gag from the comic. Pluto brings home the muddy paper and starts crying as Mickey laughs it off. The cartoon started off fun with Pluto's attempts at reclaiming the dime, but once that outdated comic was shown, it just really derailed the short. 3 out of 10. Bath Day, one of the 3 solo cartoons starring Figaro the cat. Minnie gives Figaro a bath and she puts a bow on Figaro, which of course he hates. As Figaro goes outside, all the stray cats make fun of Figaro's bow. The animators forgot Figaro's bow during a few shots. Figaro knocks out the red cat by quivering so hard that a pile of trash cans fall and knock out the red cat. Figaro uses the opportunity to fool the other cats into thinking he won a fight and scares the strays away. Minnie finds Figaro, notices how filthy he is, and forces to give him another bath. It's a silly short. 6 out of 10. Bone Bandit. As Pluto tries digging up where he buried his bone, he encounters that damn gopher from the Canine Caddy short. Well, I can tell this one's gonna suck. The gopher is using Pluto's bone as support to hold up his tunnels. The gopher uses goldenrods to make Pluto sneeze. Pluto sneezes and blows up the whole garden, but it's fine because he finds his bone in the end. Disney really kept trying to make different past reoccurring enemies for their shorts, but they just never worked. Despite how rough Chip and Dale's first cartoon was, it's amazing how eventually they were able to at least reach star status. Yeah, their previous attempts with like gophers, rats, beavers, and bees, they were just unfunny and unpleasant. 3 out of 10. Bumblebee. Well, here's a short I remembered loving as a kid. My babysitter had this one on VHS. Pluto tries stealing a gumball from a gumball machine only to find a bee who is hoarding gumballs in his beehive, and Pluto tries taking the gumballs from the hive. I can see why I love this one as a kid. It just has you craving for gumballs with everything from the colors and sound effects. And Pluto didn't realize that gumballs aren't for eating as he has trouble chewing it, but he slowly realizes you can blow bubbles with them and he starts having fun with that. Spike the bee is outraged to see his hive destroyed and his gumballs missing, and he tracks down Pluto. Spike gets stuck to Pluto's gum bubble, and the bubble pops, and Spike gets stuck to Pluto and tangles him up, and so Spike breaks free and chases Pluto down. Spike gets stuck once again to Pluto's gum and charges at Pluto. As Pluto blows a bubble to keep him away, the bubble grows so large and it bursts. The short ends with Spike stinging Pluto as he runs away. This short still makes me chuckle. It's one of the only shorts with Spike the Bee that I like, for he is a reoccurring antagonist in Donald Duck shorts, and I couldn't stand him in those shorts. But yeah, this is a fun and colorful cartoon. 8 out of 10. Camp Dog. It's the return of the coyote from Legend of Coyote Rock, but now he has a dim-witted son or something. The coyotes try stealing meat from the campsite, but Pluto is keeping watch. Yeah, another heist cartoon with lots of sneaking and chasing around. I love how the little coyote is like, screw the dead meat, I want live meat, as he tries eating Pluto. I gotta admit, giving the coyote a son was a great way to spruce up the comedy. Lone the coyote was kind of boring, but with his son giving them a bit of a Laurel and Hardy style slapstick, it really adds to the comedy. Pluto scares off the coyotes, but starts digging into the food they left behind. As Pluto hears his owners coming back, Pluto realizes things don't look good. The site was destroyed, he's eating their food, so he decides to run away and joins the coyotes. It's a pretty funny successor to Legend of Coyote Rock. 7 out of 10. Catnap Pluto. Remember that Tom and Jerry short where Tom wants to sleep and Jerry wants to mess with him? Yeah, this is basically the same thing, but with Pluto and Figaro. It's a pretty boring and uneventful short. 2 out of 10. Cold Storage. One of the last shorts Pluto starred in. A stork takes shelter from the cold in Pluto's doghouse as the dog and bird fight for it. It's a pretty funny cartoon. 8 out of 10. Cold Turkey, another one of Pluto's last cartoons. Pluto and a butt-ugly cat fight over a turkey in a fridge and fail. I didn't care for this one very much. Why does the cat himself look like a half-cooked turkey? 2 out of 10. Figaro and Cleo. Another from the Vault short. I think this was Figaro's first animated short. It also includes Cleo the goldfish, who is also from Pinocchio. Once again, Rosie the outdated stereotype is in the short, except now her name is Delilah. I really didn't care for the song that plays at the beginning and end. Long story short, Figaro wants to eat Cleo, but gets along with her in the end. 2 out of 10. Figaro and Frankie. The last solo Figaro short I have to review. Basically the same as Figaro and Cleo, but with a bird instead of a fish. Unlike Cleo, which was a one-sided rivalry. In this short, Frankie fights back at Figaro by spitting birdseed at him. Minnie Mouse is also in the short, as she wants Figaro to leave Frankie alone. After Figaro knocks the cage over, Minnie is convinced that Figaro ate her bird, and she responds angrily and heartbroken.
You fiend! You beast! You monster! You dog! Get out of my sight!
Frankie, of course, wasn't eaten, and he tries flying out the window. Figaro is about to eat him, but he gets attacked by stupid Butch out of nowhere. Frankie is stuck between getting eaten by Figaro and Butch until Figaro gives into his conscience and saves Frankie. It's basically just another version of Lend a Paw, but with characters swapped around. It's at least better than Figaro and Cleo, 4 out of 10. Food for feuding. Pluto tries storing his bone inside a tree where Chip and Dale are hoarding their nuts, and this is not going to end well. The way they mess with Pluto by disguising in gloves is pretty funny. Suddenly the short turns into Glover. The short ends with the 3 animals getting their fingers tangled up and they just laugh it off. It's a funny short overall, 7 out of 10. Male dog. Pluto is a male dog in Alaska. He gets delayed by a freezing rabbit who wants to warm up in Pluto's sled. It's mostly a wild sled chase cartoon. Of course, the chase leads to Pluto delivering the mail on time, and Pluto becomes friends with the rabbit. How cliche. 4 out of 10. Pests of the West, another coyote cartoon. This time the coyotes are after chicken, and you guessed it, Pluto's on guard duty. The part where they hide in Pluto's doghouse has a funny aftermath. Another funny coyote cartoon, 7 out of 10. Pluto and the Gopher. You know a cartoon is gonna suck when the title gives it all away. Pluto chasing a gopher through a garden? Didn't we already see this? Oh, this time it's different because it's Minnie's garden. Minnie uproots a flower and brings it in, unaware that the gopher was in the soil. The gopher digs itself into Minnie's carpet that resembles a lawn. Pluto chases it across the house and back outside. The short ends with the little bastard tying Pluto's ears to the ground, 1 out of 10. Pluto's Blue Note. Pluto keeps wanting to sing the music, but all the animals hate his singing. Pluto goes into a music store to listen to a radio. His tail reacts to a record player like a needle, and music starts emitting from his mouth, and the dog goofs around. Pluto takes the record player to fool the other animals into thinking he's singing like Frank Sinatra. You're expecting the cartoon to end with something going wrong and Pluto gets busted for being a phony, but nope, Pluto gets another Karma Houdini ending. It's pretty silly overall, 6 out of 10. Pluto's Fledgling. Pluto tries helping a baby bird learn to fly. A rare case where Pluto wants to help another animal to begin with, instead of looking out for himself like usual. Pluto uses a slingshot and succeeds at getting the bird to fly. It's a simple yet cute short, 6 out of 10. Pluto's Heartthrob, a stupid love triangle story between Pluto and Butch over Dinah. God, love triangle stories are the worst. Not a single one of them is good. Butch keeps beating up Pluto while lying to Dinah that he has no idea who did it. Luckily, it doesn't take long for Dinah to realize Butch is a bitch, and she chooses Pluto over him. But Butch forcefully kisses Dinah, causing Pluto to think she rejected himself. Oh boy, here we go again. Butch walks Dinah back into drowning in a fountain, and Butch is a literal yellowback as Pluto steps in to save her. At least it had a happy ending. Any ending that punishes Butch is worth it. I may hate love triangles, but at least this one made it feel more one-sided. I don't think anyone was rooting for Butch. Plus, it had a lot of funny facial expressions throughout. 5 out of 10. Pluto's Purchase. Mickey wants Pluto to pick up a purchase at the butcher shop, but bleeping Butch comes in to ruin everything. Why did Disney keep reusing this forgettable character? He wasn't an interesting or funny villain at all. Yeah, Pluto's just wasting his time by now. I don't think Mickey will want bologna covered in dog drool. By this point, I'm worn out of Pluto versus Butch. It's just, so tiring. It was funny the first time with Bone Trouble, but it's lost its charm now. In a lame twist, Mickey reveals the meat is actually for a friend of Pluto's, and Pluto imagines that he's talking about Dinah. But Mickey was talking about Butch, and Pluto accidentally kisses Butch. Like I said, any cartoon that punishes Butch is usually good, but this clearly isn't the case. 2 out of 10. Pluto's Surprise Package. Pluto receives a package with guess who? The baby turtle again. Pluto tries getting the turtle back in the box for his master, but the turtle refuses. It recycles a lot of the same animation gags from the first turtle short. It's like they weren't even trying with this one. Similar to the Butch cartoons, this one just lost its charm. The turtle was cute and funny the first 2 times, but by this point it was too safe and overdone, with nothing new to offer. 4 out of 10. Pluto's Sweater. This is my second favorite Pluto cartoon. Minnie knits Pluto a pink sweater, and Pluto is horrified by it, as Figaro laughs at his humiliation.
Oh, Pluto, it looks adorable on you.
Pluto tries many comical attempts to get it off. He manages to shrink it off in water, and Minnie cries over her hard work being ruined. Pluto gets back at Figaro, along with trying to cheer up Minnie by pointing out that the sweater is now small enough to fit Figaro. Minnie puts it on Figaro, and Figaro reacts furiously. I remembered my sister and I laughing hard when we saw this for the first time. It just randomly aired on TV a long time ago. For some reason, it aired right after a movie on the channel WGEM. We never understood why. Like, the short was just shown on that channel for no reason. That channel never showed cartoons, and it wasn't scheduled or anything, but I'll never forget the laughs it gave us. I still think it holds up. 8 out of 10. Primitive Pluto. Pluto is awakened by the call of the wild, and his primitive instinct convinces him to live in the wild. Of course, Pluto fails miserably throughout. Pluto crawls back in fear, only to find out his primitive instinct ate all his food, causing Pluto to unleash his wild side on his wild side. This ending was lame. It would have been funnier if the primitive instinct was only there at the beginning. If he was conning Pluto throughout. So, like, when Pluto gets back in the end, only to find out that his wild side ate his food, that would have made it kind of funnier. But the short felt like nothing happened. Pluto was barely outside. All he did was fail to pick up tracks. He got kicked by a rabbit and got scared by a bear. It felt too rushed and abrupt. Man, even the SpongeBob episode Nature Pants did this plot better. 2 out of 10. Puss Cafe. Oh great, the butt ugly cat is back, but now there's 2 of them. Or 3 of them if you count the ending. They try sneaking into a yard to eat animals and food, but Pluto is guarding the yard. Once again, another plot from Pluto cartoons that wore off their welcome and charm. The Coyote shorts did this plot better. The cats were just boring and unfunny. Did not care for it. 2 out of 10. Rescue Dog. Pluto is a rescue dog in an Arctic area. The short is basically Pluto's playmate on ice, because he once again finds a little seal and gets annoyed by it. Let me guess, it ends with Pluto in trouble and the seal saves him and they become friends. Oh, come on! The writers weren't even trying. It's a shame when cartoons start getting in a rut, where you notice they're just doing what they've been doing. It just feels like a waste of time. If I wanted to rewatch Pluto's Playmate, I'd just rewatch Pluto's Playmate. No one asked for the same short, but in the Arctic instead. 1 out of 10. Sheepdog. Speaking of rut, another rehashed plot with the coyotes. Pluto is once again a sheepdog, except now the coyote has a son with him. Once again, the little coyote would rather eat Pluto than the main target. The little coyote gets disguised as a sheep. Pluto decides to get back at him by disguising himself as a sheep. The coyote dives in and grabs one of the sheep, but he accidentally grabs the son instead. The joke makes no sense since it was shown that the coyote wasn't even wearing the sheep disguise before the coyote dived in. This was the weakest out of the coyote anthology. 4 out of 10. Wonder Dog. The last Pluto cartoon I have to review. Pluto tries impressing Dinah, who is only interested in circus dogs. Pluto tries to prove that he can be a circus dog, but upon enraging and getting chased by Butch, Pluto fumbles through the circus set he had set up and ends up fooling Dinah into thinking he's actually perfecting these tricks. Well, this short just makes Dinah look shallow. Pluto is once again a Karma Houdini and gets rewarded in the end. Nah, it wasn't that great. 4 out of 10. And those were Pluto's cartoons. They started off pretty good, but they got very bland, safe, and repetitive the further they went on. There are still some great ones in there, especially Bone Trouble, The Sleepwalker, and Pluto's Sweater. Those would definitely be my top 3 favorite Pluto cartoons. This is still an overall fun, cute, and charming collection of shorts. And with that out of the way, I'm down to one last subject of the Walt Disney Treasures when it comes to making these video reviews. So please join me later this year as I review every single Donald Duck cartoon. But oh boy, that will take forever. It will likely take 4 times longer to make that compared to this review. I mean, this only took me 16 hours to make for just roughly a 40-minute review. But Donald Duck, he had the most cartoons out of any of the Walt Disney Treasures or any of the Disney short character subjects in general. So yeah, that's going to take a lot of time. It might take me multiple weeks instead of just, I was able to make this in 2 days. Mostly, I got most of it done today, but I only spent 2 hours on it, 2 days ago, and then I got most of it done today on my day off, but oh man. But anyways, thank you for watching. See you next time, and have a great day.